Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom, where we bring you engaging conversations and respectful disagreement across the social spectrum.
Injected with the quirks of everyday life.
Curl up as we navigate the complexities of this modern world with all the humor and warmth we can muster.
And the occasional gentle ribbing. We're glad you're here. Happy listening. For a long time, I've been pondering something that I think kind of starts to expose who we are as a society. To get to my point, I want to look at what America actually idolizes, because it's not intellect. It doesn't seem to be innovation or contribution. It feels like it's athleticism. We will pay a backup linebacker $8 million a year to ride the bench, but the person who's literally teaching our kids to read can't afford to buy school supplies without hitting up Walmart clearance. To be clear, I am not blaming the athletes. Those who know me know I have no great love of sports, but I do have plenty of respect for those so dedicated to their craft that they are considered the best in the world, regardless of what that craft may be. But there's something really weird about the gap between what we say we value and what we actually pay for.
What really stands out to me is how obsessed we are with being entertained. Like everything has to be big and loud and dramatic in order to get our attention. Sports, celebrity, spectacle. But being smart, being thoughtful, heck, even being kind, it's all really quiet. It doesn't come with a walkout song and reel. And because it's quiet, people treat it like it's boring or threatening. And the weird part is, if you try to be informed or ask real questions, suddenly you're too political or taking things too seriously. Like intelligence is somehow embarrassing. We cheer for physical strength, but get uncomfortable around intellectual strength. And that says a lot about what our priorities have turned into.
Remember when intellect was respected? Think about Emerson or Whitman or Mark Twain, John Adams, Lincoln. When education, even exposure to European travels, indicated a superior education, when you knew who the good teachers were and being well-read mattered. But over the last few decades, we've shifted into this entertainment-first society where we idolize celebrity and physicality. Sports took over the schools, over the media, and eventually over our priorities. And somewhere in that shift, we decided that thinkers were optional and athletes were essential. Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom.
I'm Callie.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Mom. So,
It's an interesting conversation today. Brawn over brains. Where did this come from, Cal?
Us sitting here talking one day before or after we had finished an episode, and one of you mentioned, Cole, I think it was shortly after the draft, and we were talking about the National Spelling Bee and paying all of these athletes all of these supreme amounts of money, and just kind of scratching our heads going, huh? What? And so I kind of started digging in a little bit more as to why. Why? I mean, you guys know me. That's always my question. I want to understand the why. But I was really curious as to, has it always been this way? Has this always been the case that we really do value physical strength over mental strength? Do we really value sheer forces of nature on a playing field versus even in a boardroom?
I think it's going to be really interesting 50 years down the line. I mean, because you think about this, we're still talking about people like John Adams and Thomas Jefferson and Lincoln and Mark Twain hundreds of years after they're gone. Do you think that we'll still be talking about LeBron or Tom Brady even 50 years from now?
I mean, we still talk about Babe Ruth.
One thing, and it was, I mean, yes, we do still talk about Babe Ruth and Jackie Robinson. So, yeah, I guess. But I don't think it's in the same way. But here's my point. If you think about the men that I mentioned, you think about the men that they were. If you think about Mark Twain or Lincoln, or even John Adams, you think about their, not just their intellect, but their contributions to society and what kind of men they were and the culture that they were in. And I don't know if you do that with Babe Ruth and Jackie Robinson or Tom Brady. I mean, maybe 50 years from now, Tom Brady's going to be remembered because he cloned his dog and spent thousands of dollars to do it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's news for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just not too long ago, his dog passed away, his family's dog passed away. And remember the sheep that they cloned in Scotland or somewhere? Well, they
Yeah.
can do that now. And so he had his dog cloned. I think it was, I don't know, $12,000, something like that, to have his dog cloned. And he does
That's
admit
cheap.
I was going to
that
say that's less expensive than I anticipated.
well, then I could be off on that dollar amount. Then don't quote me on that dollar amount. But he did say the dog doesn't have the same personality that the original dog did. But yes, there are
Well,
several
yeah.
people who. I think another one is Barbara Streisand had a cat cloned.
Here's the thing: cloning something doesn't replace its memories. It still is going to develop its own personality due to the exposure that it gets to stimulus from its environment as it ages.
Oh, a nature versus nurture kind of thing, huh? Anyway, maybe since y'all didn't know about it, that will not be what we're talking about with Tom Brady in 50 years. Sorry.
No, I definitely did not know that Brady cloned his dog.
I'll find this story and y'all can see who else cloned their animals.
Yeah, I
So-
am totally caught off guard.
I stumped y'all. I love it.
Yeah. You stumped us on Tom Brady and pets. I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting that one. Didn't have that on my
Yeah.
bingo card.
Sorry.
I mean, and
Okay.
we're counting down, and that was not on my 2025 bingo card at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So,
Though I will say, if you guys have not, really fast, mom tangented, I get to too. If you have not seen the movie Swan Song, it is absolutely worth watching. Super fascinating and interesting. So it is, oh God, what's his name? It's the guy from the musician from Green Book.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also in that other weird movie that you guys make fun of me, Leave the World Behind,
Mm-hmm.
with Ethan Hawke and Julia Roberts. But he plays a man who is dying of cancer. I know that's not your thing, but he plays a man who's dying of cancer in a technologically advanced world. And so he is in the process of cloning himself so that his family
I've
can
heard about
carry
this.
on with him. It's really, really interesting and fascinating. And that kind of whole thing, like you were just talking about with the dog, it's not really the same. It's not the same dog. It doesn't have the same personality he is struggling with. Like, that's the whole premise of the movie, is trying to figure out how the similarities are going to come across, what is naturally transferred based on their brains versus what he has to teach his clone to know about him. It's fascinating
Okay.
and beautifully done.
Okay. All right. Well, now, Cole, you got a squirrel you want to take?
You like to chase?
well, I mean, mine's more of just like a question. Do y'all have a hypothesis as to why we have prioritized sports and entertainment over intellectual strength?
I don't have an hypothesis about that.
I think that we have prioritized it because it's kind of, for lack of a better word, it's sexy. This is something that I could never accomplish or that you could never accomplish. And so now we're going to put it on display. Somebody who has done it so successfully, somebody who has taken and put all of this time and energy into perfecting their craft.
That
Except,
falls
there,
flat.
We have.
yeah,
Because
there are people.
why don't
there
we
are
do the
people
same
in
thing for physics then?
Because I think that it is sexier.
Right, but
Physically sexier. Six-pack abs and ripped arms are easier to display over a lab coat.
I mean,
Here's this athlete who is busting their butt ripped.
Okay,
And
all of a sudden I'm thinking, so Cole, would you notice the athlete over the lab coat yourself? Or is that a female thing?
I don't know how to answer that question. I mean,
We're already so
yes,
far off
sure.
track.
When it comes to attraction, yes, physicality is important, but it's not the only factor. If I can't have a conversation with you, if you're dumber than a
Yeah.
bag of rocks, it doesn't really matter how hot you are.
Right, which is my point. These are people that we're not having direct interactions with, so we don't get to see if they're dumber than a bag of rocks. We just get to see them being powerhouses on whatever field they're playing on.
I don't know. Have you seen Tom Brady in some of these interviews and podcasts that he's on?
No.
Pretty clearly on display.
I think it comes back, and this
Always
is
just
shameful
closed
in my
up.
opinion. It comes back to money. You can sell sexy football easier than you can sell
Sexy lab coat.
research. Years of research and without
Sex sells.
It's, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but it's weird. If you wanted to advertise to me bikini football or faster than light space travel, I'm going to take faster than light space travel. Now, I may be a weird one, but like if those were the two options, like, hey, which one
Yeah.
of these are you going to advertise to Cole? The scientific research is going to be the one that gets me.
But I think, look at the history of it. Think back to the Marlboro Man, right? He was rugged and stoic and muscular and just this sexy man. And it turned smoking sexier because he did it, right?
Well, until he died of lung cancer. Yeah.
Also true, but we don't talk about that part.
Yes.
It's just marketing, right? Here, I'm going to put this on display in front of you. But there was no big marketing campaign that said, oh, he had lung cancer and this was a horrible idea and we're sorry. That isn't sexy. So we don't put that on display.
So could you market research? Tedious, long, unending research?
I mean, you've seen the Hulu pharmaceutical ads. They certainly try.
Well, and I was just sitting here thinking of like a Susan G. Komen. When they're sitting here, that's what their whole purpose is doing research to eliminate breast cancer or make that a much easier topic to navigate. But even then, the part that's sexy about it, the part that's marketed about it isn't, "Hey, we're doing all of this research." It's, hey, we're building a community of people who are all invested in the same thing. It isn't the research of it, even though that's what it is all done
What the
for.
point was.
Right.
It's simpler, I think. My hypothesis is, and I think being physically secure is part of that, but it's a whole lot easier to follow football than it is to follow a physicist experimenting with theoretical physics. Just
For
in
sure.
general.
For
You don't have to
sure.
be you don't have to engage your brain as actively to watch a football game as you do to understand Einstein's theory of relativity.
You don't have to be smart to follow football.
I get it. I get it. I mean, again, I think that we have, as a society, as a culture, have glamorized kind of the wrong things.
Ouch.
I mean, I think that's subjective because I think some other people would tell you, I'm not interested in physics. It doesn't do anything for me. And whether that conception is correct or not,
It's not sexy.
yeah, I mean, how do you tell someone that doesn't understand something, hey, you should pay more attention to this than you do Tom Brady on Sunday?
It makes me think of that kind of age-old adage about when, like, especially if you're in high school or in school and things like that, when am I ever going to use algebra in real life? I don't need this.
Cole made
Every
me
day.
do it. Cole made me do it one day this week. Mom,
Exactly.
one of these formulas is correct.
But I think that we have taken the wrong tact to sit here and say, hey, this is useful information that you're going to continue using through your daily life. It's just, oh, you have to get this box checked so that you can move on. And the one thing that kind of continues through, for lack of a better word, is things like sports. Those are the
Yeah, but
cool people in high school. And then they go on and now they have this great career in college. And oh, now they've been drafted into the NFL. And this is so exciting. I knew them. I gave him my history notes or my algebra notes. I mean, Cole, you've talked about it before as well. You've got all of these athletes, especially in the NFL, who are making all of this money. And before too long, they're broke and their lives are in tatters because they don't have any financial literacy as to how to maintain any part of their lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think that is slowly changing and evolving over time because many modern athletes have seen what has happened to the generations before them just for not handling that, not being aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
I will
But
never understand, though, paying an individual multiple $1 million to play a game.
because that's their cut of the profit. That's how much money these systems are
Well,
making.
you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever
But
thought about it that way.
but to back up here, you make the argument, Gig, of, well, I'm never going to use algebra in my everyday life, which is one,
Not true.
yeah, not true. But when are you going to use Tom Brady's stats in everyday life?
I think that that's
You're not.
I don't think that that's really true. We have been recording this podcast for less than 20 minutes and we're all talking about Tom Brady and various facets of his life because we have dumbed our society down to say, hey, these are the most important topics that you need to be well versed on, so that when you're sitting there with a bunch of other people and you're sitting there in a group of other folks, it's like, oh, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's happening in the world of sports. I did it earlier this week, sitting there with a bunch of my coworkers, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on in the NFL. I don't know who's doing well this season. I don't know who's sucking. And part of me sat there and said, I could have better common ground if I was more well versed in that as a sport. But instead of going and paying attention to people out on various sports teams, I'm sitting here researching about the First Amendment.
Well, and I'm wondering how much of that is camaraderie. I mean,
I think a lot of it is.
when you can support your team and you know that there's an entire city or a region that's going to, tailgate with you versus doing that because,
Physics is not tribalized.
yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
Intellect
but-
is not tribalized.
Yeah. But I think that you've also got these, especially athletes. I'm thinking of Dak Prescott, and I know that Post Malone is a Cowboys fan and he does all kinds of sponsorships and things like that. But Dak Prescott is all of a sudden being put into songs, into pop culture. And we are, again, proliferating that same narrative. This is what's important. This is what we're talking about. This is where we need to spend our time focusing, even if it's just in something as simple as song lyrics.
Interesting.
I think it's really telling of what we as a culture have decided to value. And it makes me a little nervous. I mean, go ahead.
I have a bit of maybe this is my real tangent here, and I want to preface this a little bit. Do you think it's similar around the world? Like in Europe, do they idolize athletes to the same degree that we do here in the States? I mean, I would suggest it's probably like European footballers, not American footballers. But I mean, in Australia, is there one, just for lack of a better term, goated rugby player or cricket player that everybody knows?
I mean,
Like
so
we
I
know
just
Michael
pulled
Jordan
up
or Tom Brady.
I just pulled up the list of the world's highest paid athletes. And in the top 10, only 3 of them are from the United States.
Right, because footballers are the highest paid in general for
Well,
like individual athletes.
top
Wait.
10. Soccer, basketball,
Yeah,
boxing,
footballers,
football, soccer,
European footballers,
basketball, baseball, soccer, baseball, basketball. Top 10.
Yeah, soccer players and baseball players are the highest paid.
Let me go back. You said out of the top 10, only 3 are U.S.?
Yep. Cristiano Ronaldo is a soccer player from Portugal. He's the number 1. Steph Curry is a basketball, he's a point guard, I believe, in the United States. Then Tyson Fury is a boxer from the UK. Fury. What a great name for a boxer.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is a Dallas Cowboy. Lionel Messi is a soccer player. LeBron James is a basketball star.
I would have told you that the U.S. paid more for their athletes.
I mean, and they're on here. I mean, but number 1 is Portugal, 2 is U.S., 3 is United Kingdom, 4 is U.S., 5 is Argentina, 6 is U.S., 7 is Dominican Republic, France, Japan, Ukraine, Spain, Greece.
So we think about it this way. If it is a portion of revenue share, what is far and away the most popular sport in the world?
Soccer.
Soccer. So they're going to get paid the most, more than likely.
3 out of the top 10 are soccer players.
What athlete from Ukraine is in the top 10?
He's number 11, and it's a boxer.
Interesting.
But
Yeah,
this is
boxing
also
is huge too.
This is a Forbes article, and so it has it broken down as to their rank, their name, sport, nationality, their total earnings, their on-field earnings, and their off-field earnings, which I thought was really interesting. So, like, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo his on-field earnings is $225 million. His off-field earnings are only $50 million. Then you've got Steph Curry, who is almost a direct flip. He's $56 million on the field and $100 million off the field in various endorsements and sponsorships. Then going back to the UK, his on field, it's a boxer. His on field is $140 million. His off field is $6.
Wow.
Because Tyson Fury is not really a marketable guy.
Why not?
Look at him.
No.
He's not sexy. He's a giant, bald,
ogre-looking dude.
Ogre-looking white guy.
I don't want him coming for me because he would whoop my ass. So, but
I mean, sure. I mean, I'm just trying to make an objective observation here. He is not what you would consider classically attractive in a man.
So this isn't just about sports. This is about sex and sports.
I think it's about perceived value.
Yeah, I think Callie's right there.
It's what?
About perceived value. Hitting hard is part of Tyson Fury's value, but sex appeal is less so.
He definitely looks like an elf, like a very large, angry elf. Tell me I'm wrong. Look at this picture.
You don't want him coming after you. You better be nice.
He's gonna whoop my ass. He doesn't have to come very hard. Like, we know.
Here's the thing. Tyson Fury gets plenty of hate on the internet. He doesn't care.
Okay. You're safe, Cal.
I'm still not trying to talk shit about him. I'm just saying, like, Cole is not incorrect by saying, like, he is not a super
Callie, you said he looked like an elf.
Look at him.
That is kind of coming after him.
Okay, hold on. Don't screw with me all of a sudden, okay? Entire screen. Look at this dude.
He looks like Santa Claus.
Or a leprechaun.
That's actually a very... Callie, he's my size. He does not look like a leprechaun.
I said a tall one. He looks like a tall leprechaun. I mean... Again, I have no doubt in my mind that he would wipe the floor with me.
And if you keep talking, he might be justified in so doing.
I'm not talking shit, man.
I mean, you are.
I mean,
anyways, let's see if we can re-rail this train.
best of luck. Not going so good. God.
I think as Americans, we probably prioritize or idolize sports players to a separate degree than much of the rest of the world. Not to say that the rest of the world doesn't do it. I just think that we do it more. But we very much...
What's your justification for that? For thinking that?
We have American football, American baseball, basketball, soccer. We have all of these sports that have extremely high paid players. Golf is probably more global, but you have some American players that are getting paid crazy amounts of money to play golf.
Megabucks, yeah.
Yeah.
Race car drivers.
Right. In general, I think that we as Americans have a broader spectrum of really highly paid athletes that are idolized by our society. In Argentina, you have, Messi?
I never really thought about that, but you're probably right. We have a more diverse athletic agenda opportunity.
Yeah, and I mean, I think in general, we very much idolize that athletic physicality, if you will. And not necessarily just because it's sexy. I think that that's part of it, but I don't think that that's all of it. So I have kind of a separate hypothesis here where, I mean, is this just kind of naturally what our society would tend towards? Because globally speaking, and really since kind of the inception, America has been very much considered by the world a warlike people. I mean, even just American travelers who are traveling around the world are often perceived as warlike, just because we are more confrontational than many other societies. As individuals, as a society, we have existed at war for almost the entirety of our nation's existence. It's just something that we do. And so is that just kind of a natural inclination for us to prioritize people that are perceived as warriors?
That's so interesting. Ken Burns says that the American Revolution started a whole new facet. No one had ever had that type of confrontation before. So that's really interesting that you come to that.
Well, but then I think you also see Americans being stereotyped as friendly people. They talk to everybody. Going into another country, it is very normal for Americans to kind of forego that country's customs and traditions and bring in their own and say, "Oh, hi, it's so nice to meet you. Let's shake hands. Let me give you a hug. Let me talk to everybody or smile at everybody." And so it kind of is a weird juxtaposition of, hey, we're this war-like brute force people who are just super chatty at the same time.
See, I think, Callie, that's not just a friendliness. I think that's an arrogance that we just assume everybody is like us and will want to be like us.
Yeah, and I think that those two actually coincide more than you think, because a lot of times from what I have read, that is, we perceive it as being polite. The rest of the world does not. It's perceived as fake. So it's almost political for us. We walk into a room and start talking to strangers because that's what we as a society have been taught is the right thing to do. That's what you do, regardless of how it impacts them or makes them feel, which is
selfish,
warlike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
I mean, but I think, Cole, then you start tying that in with some of our history, even just fairly recent history with the people that we're idealizing on the screen. Think John Wayne or Clint Eastwood and these Western cowboys, these heroes. I think it's just so fascinating, the brusqueness of them, kind of leaning into the same thing that you're saying here. It's the brawn that makes them so fascinating, not their brains.
Yeah, Superman is a genius. Bruce Wayne is a genius, and they're superheroes not because they're extremely intelligent, but because they beat up bad guys. That's what makes them appealing.
Do you think I'm thinking back to, Roland Fryer, the Harvard economist. I'm thinking back to that interview that we watched of his here several weeks, months ago now, him talking about growing up in his household and in his immediate community and being a thinker. Being intelligent was not what his immediate community prioritized. And so he had to, I remember him talking about going to these dinner parties and things like when he got to Harvard and they're talking in Latin and he's like, what the hell are these people doing? Like, why is anybody like, I don't understand. I'm just thinking about how that intelligence can come across as very elitist, as very not relatable.
And that was self-imposed. I mean, he was talking about they did that to exclude you.
Right.
And so that's an interesting facet to come here. So it's not just are we glamorizing bronze, but has intellectualism
Been
actually
gatekept.
yes.
Siloed itself intentionally.
Yes.
Yeah, the snobbiness of it all. We're better than you. Let me look down my nose at you.
Yeah. That's an interesting facet here.
Do you think, just curious, do you think if we had like, I'm thinking, Mom, don't laugh at me. I'm thinking of like old Doris Day films and things like that, where you're watching this woman be kind of the hero of her own story and being more thoughtful and educated and interesting. If we had more of those over these Westerns kind of thing, where we're prioritizing more interesting people and education versus rough 'em up cowboys, what would America's kind of national hero archetype look like?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I
but
question whether a woman could really fill that role. Could there have been a Jane Wayne?
Interesting.
Because society doesn't really want a woman to
Succeed.
be smart.
I don't know if I could go there with you. In historically, sure, but now I don't know if I agree as much because I mean there are lots of female protagonists that I mean think about Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow. She's extremely popular and well liked. She is a hero. She's a badass. She beats the shit out of people. That's what she does. Think of Jennifer Lawrence in the Mockingbird movies.
Hunger Games
movies. Thank you. I mean, she fits that kind of archetypal hero role very much so. And she has
Jolie.
Yeah, Angelina Jolie as Laura Croft in the Tomb Raider.
What's her
That's
face as
becoming much more common.
And yet
I don't know if that one she was
avoiding.
Well, I wasn't necessarily avoiding it, but I think that's actually a better example of the opposite because of how much she was ostracized for playing that role at the time.
Right.
Which one?
Demi Moore as G.I. Jane.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, I think her doing that opened that door.
But still, all of those females that you're talking about, whether it's Scarlett Johansson or Jennifer Lawrence or Angelina Jolie, what made them heroes in those roles was their brawn. I'm this rough, badass, rough and tumble woman who can do anything that a man can do. Like, why does it have to be this cut and dry?
Because it's simpler and I think
we're
generally
stupid.
Yes.
But I would say percentage-wise, those characters are on a lower scale than what you would see a male protagonist as.
But I also think Cole's point is still very valid in this. Like, that's changing. I think that we are seeing more strong female protagonists today than have ever been the case in history.
And yet, this is going to get me in trouble.
These are my
How
favorite.
many people do you talk to today who go, I don't think America can take a female president? Why? Because they're not strong enough? They can't kick ass like Angelina Jolie? Is that what it is? They're not rude like Trump? I mean, could we put a Marjorie Taylor Greene in as president who can say,
No, don't even talk that out into the universe. Don't put that out in the world.
I'm not dying on
think
that hill.
don't think that we appreciate intelligence. And I definitely do not think that we appreciate intelligence in women. I'm not saying that there aren't some people and that there aren't some outliers on that. There certainly are. I mean, you can look at Katharine Graham, who took over the Washington Post when her husband died, but was a complete and total outlier on that.
We talked previously about Greta Thunberg. Thunberg. I mean, she came about talking about climate change and activism from a totally different standpoint, less so with facts and figures, but more from an emotional plea standpoint. And it has been very productive for her message.
But let me ask you this on her. She was 15, so did we appreciate her because she was a child speaking up in that manner? Or would she have gotten the same response if she'd been 30 years old, 40 years old? Would she have gotten the same response? Or did some of that come from she was a child?
I think
And
most of
what
it
an
came from the fact
amazing...
that she was 15.
Hmm?
I think most of it came from the fact that she was 15.
I would agree with you.
So, I don't know. I think brains is, and I can tell you also, as much as I hate saying this, but generationally, I wasn't supposed to be smarter than the boys in the room.
Right.
And that was definitely a deficit if I was willing to show that I was. I don't think, Callie, that that's quite as evident. But, I mean, we've talked a lot of times. We both know women who are strong, good, have risen in their industry, but it's a male-dominated industry, and they've had to change their personality. Especially diminutive women have to appear bigger, badder to get where they are because they're women in a male-dominated field. Here's the thing. If it was just, hey, this is your IQ and I'm going to ignore you because, this person's better on the soccer field, that would be one thing. But that's not even really, I mean, there's more to it than just that. I think it gets exacerbated.
Yeah, let me put it this way. Throughout all of human and natural history, which creature, when you have social groups, and we can look at all of the different animals, when you have a social group, which creature is the leader? Is it the smartest, most cunning one? Or is it the one that is the biggest and the strongest?
The stronger one, the dominant one.
Physical resilience in a physical world has to be prioritized, biologically speaking.
That's true.
And that's not to say that intelligence isn't important. I think that, well, I hope that as humanity advances, because completely different tangent, I think that we are moving away from biology as a species. I don't think it will be much longer in the grand scheme of things until we are no longer biological creatures, but technological ones. So I think we are moving away from that. And once you become a mechanical being, physicality is modifiable. So at that point, I think
Carries less weight.
different characteristics will be prioritized, intelligence being among them. But I think that I think it is biologically ingrained in us to prioritize and idolize physicality still.
I think you're right on that. And I think as we're talking about artificial intelligence, if that can be replicated, then it will lose its value because it can be duplicated, and Brawn may not can be duplicated quite as easily.
Interesting. I do think, when we finish episodes, which I feel like happens pretty regularly, and mom will go, well, this is not at all where I thought that this conversation was going to go. I think we should try and get off of the sexism of this and back to our topic about brawn versus brains a little bit.
Okay. We've kind of gone everywhere here.
Oh, yeah, we totally have. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure that we're not stuck here all of a sudden, because I don't think that the male versus female is the underlying issue that we're looking to discuss here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's a byproduct of it,
I would agree.
not the root cause. So maybe let's talk about like the nitty-gritty of why it is prioritized so much. So like, who's the highest paid scientist in the world? Do we have any ideas? Because we can really easily track the highest paid athletes, and we can even get into the nitty-gritty, and we've kind of generalized this already. It's marketing, it's revenue share, it's profit sharing with these guys that are, I mean, sacrificing their bodies and their time and their youth to their craft, which I have a certain level of respect for. But I mean, if we talk about sponsored scientists, you've got Neil deGrasse Tyson, maybe, and then
Yeah. I don't know. Even when I do a search for it, it's like, hey, these are the top highest paying science jobs, but it's not people.
Interesting.
And it's that way across the board. Here are the highest paid science job, or here are the highest paid science roles. Here are the most lucrative jobs across various countries that have to do with science. But it's not people. And I think that we can literally watch that value. I don't want to say be diminished, because it's not that, but not reflect the needs of our society. Again, kind of like Cole mentioned at the very beginning, teachers who are sitting here educating tomorrow's leaders can't keep their classrooms stocked because we paid them so little. Why are we not valuing their contributions?
okay, my brain's turning here, and I think a lot of this goes back to, like you mentioned earlier, gig sex sells, and I think it's a whole lot harder to, like, watching scientific research is going to be at like, maybe if you could distill it down into just the breakthroughs, but all of the stuff that happens between the breakthroughs is going to be a lot slower than a football game, let's be honest. I mean, how much of doing research is saying, well, I think this is what's going to happen if X and Y are the two inputs, let's try it. And then let's try it 1,000 more times to see how often my hypothesis is correct. That's really hard to sit down and watch.
My brain was thinking, do that in a golf game scenario, because I think golf is the slowest, boring game to watch. If we put science on that,
but how often do we watch golf players practice? How often do we watch professional sports teams practice?
Yeah.
Some people, sure, but it's not nearly as broadly audienced as the games themselves.
Crazy. Yeah. So it doesn't have the profit. It doesn't have the sex. It doesn't have the allure.
It's a lot harder to market
Mm-hmm.
the prospect of research than the product of that research.
Yeah.
Whereas sports, the product is playing the sport. Interesting.
I just don't think that it has the same, I'm not saying it's right or good, but it doesn't have the same pool of audience. POOL, right? Like there are this many people who are going to sit here and think golf is interesting either way. And I don't think that you have as large of a pool of people to say, and they think it's interesting because of the trajectory of the ball with this much downforce and this much gravity and all of these things. Like, let's actually get down into the nitty gritty of why the golf ball has 183 dimples in the ball. I mean, like all of these goofy things.
The physics of it.
The physics of it all. Yes.
And for some people, that is the appeal. But for the vast majority of them, I would think
Not gonna
probably
be.
not. It is the skill of implementing, maybe not even the knowledge, but the practice of, hey, I have swung this stick this way so many times that now I can do it better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Not
proved my muscle
because I am
memory.
swinging the stick this way, this is the amount of force that I'm applying at this angle at this time on however many dimples on the ball I'm hitting. That's not the entertaining part. It is the result of that.
Yeah.
Right. And
It's the winning.
yeah. I was going to say, I think that you've got the money to suggest that that is really, truly what sells. I mean, I was listening to a book the other day. I don't remember what it was, and I can't remember exactly the context, but it was talking about in 2005, a Super Bowl commercial costs between $2 and $3 million for a 30-second spot. Now, a Super Bowl commercial is between 7 and 8 for the same 30-second spot 15 years later, 20 years later.
That's just
And how,
inflation. That's just inflation.
I'm not saying that it's not, but still the demand has only continued to grow
Yeah, I was being
over all of
facetious.
this time. Can you imagine somebody working on cancer research bringing home $7 million for their advancements in science and technology?
For their 30 seconds of fame. Wow.
I think it's probably more likely that they would disappear than get a paycheck, but totally different podcast.
Totally different podcast. Don't tangent us off anymore. I mean, but we are all native Texans, right? And it is so funny to me to watch people come from other states and then go, oh my God, you guys really care about Friday night football. And
Friday
look
night
at
football.
these high school stadiums that you're spending millions of dollars on for high school athletes.
Yeah, I get it from people that I talk to all of the time because I talk to people on the phone all day
Right?
from all across the country. And it's, oh, you're in Texas. You must really love football. Not really. Sorry,
Hate to
your Cowboys
disappoint
are getting killed. They're not my Cowboys. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But
But we
I'm an
but
outlier.
we start them very young. I mean, we've been going to second grade football and they had their own Super Bowl. I mean, so we're starting them really young. We're growing them. There were definitely some parents in attendance at that game who were really, really serious about these 8-year-olds
8-year-old
playing
kids. Yeah.
football. I mean, some of them you just wanted to smack and go, remember that they're 8. But
Well, I think there's something to be said here that it's probably a whole lot easier to train physicality into an 8-year-old than it is intelligence. Because I think that can you improve your intelligence by trying? Yes. But anybody can become an athlete, generally. The vast majority is there some natural talent? Sure. But if I went and trained every day, I could become a bodybuilder. I could gain that physicality. I don't
Could
know
you
that
become a
everybody,
gymnast?
I mean, if I trained every day at it and that's what I dedicated all of my time to, yes, probably.
Kelly and I both stopped when you said anybody could become an athlete because I'm not sure that that's true.
Yeah.
But I see where you're going with it. I understand
Right.
where you're going with it. It would be easier to teach athleticism than it is to teach intelligence.
So, but
Yes.
that goes back to kind of what I think that we were trying to talk about earlier. Should we just take the easy way? It's easier to teach an 8-year-old to be physical, so we're just going to teach him that instead of teaching him to be intelligent, instead of
Not what
setting
I'm
him up for
saying.
success.
I'm just saying that that's what it is. Because, I mean, picking up heavy stuff
Yeah.
and running is much more accessible than understanding physics.
Yeah. But I think Callie's question is, are we willing to settle for that or at the expense of the intelligence? Because you have to lose something.
Right.
I think the vast majority of humanity, quite obviously, the answer to that is yes.
But that, again, I'm kind of constantly playing the long game in my head, right? Like, okay, it's easier to teach an 8-year-old to be strong and
Physical.
athlete and physical and all of this. So we're just going to do that because we can sell it and we can monetize it and we can take control of his life. But what happens when that 8-year-old is 38? What life have we set him up to live? Have we taught him about financial literacy? Have we taught him how to be emotionally stable and secure to be able to say, hey, failure sucks. I've been there. I've done that. I mean, because as an athlete, no matter the sport, you have to be able to address failure. You have to fall down and get back up and keep going and power through. Have we taught these children all of the things that they need and that is required for them to be productive members of society, much less like leaders, but just productive
We don't do
members of
that for
society?
non-athletes.
I don't disagree, but I think that that's
He has
kind
a
of
point.
my point. Like, shouldn't we?
Uh,
Instead of just
Should
taking
and
the
shouldn't
easy way out,
is irrelevant. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but what we should do versus what we do are not synonymous. When you're talking about our species as a whole, we can say we should do all of these things every day, but how many of us actually do those things?
again, I go back to the third party vote. If enough of us stop buying the old adage of you're just throwing the vote away and actually vote for the third party, eventually the third party guy is going to have a chance. And so
I
maybe
agree.
we have to stop with well, that's how we do it. So never mind. We're just not going to do anything else. That's how it's done. That's what works. That's what's easiest. Maybe we should stop giving into the easy way and start digging into the best way by stopping valuing athletics over intelligence, by lessening the value of athletics over intelligence.
Are
How do you
increasing.
sell that?
Well, I think that you sell that via marketing. I think that you sell that. I mean, you guys, how many times, Cole, you're really good at this. How many times have you sent Mom and I a link to a various podcast saying, hey, this is a really interesting conversation. Hey, this is really fascinating. Go listen to this. I think that you do a really good job at that. And there are several. Mom got on to me this week for sitting there listening to one of them going, oh my God, I'm a moron. I have no idea what is going on in the world. Like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. I don't know all of these terms. It was a Diary of a CEO podcast that you had sent. And I'm just going, oh my God, this is so fascinating. But also, I don't know what 90% of they're talking about is. Like, it was a lot. Let me have this, okay? I mean, it was a lot, but it was so helpful and so fascinating to be part of that conversation, even just as a fly on the wall. And so I think that you're already doing that. When is the last time that you sent us a sports highlight reel?
Right. But again, how many times have we addressed it on this podcast that I would generally be considered an outlier? I am not
Yeah.
the normal. I'm not the
You
usual.
may not be the normal,
But
but
she's
you're
saying if more people would adopt the way that you do things, that
Yeah.
we could bring intelligence to the forefront.
I understand that. How do you get them to adopt it? How do you make me not the outlier? How do you make me the norm? Just by saying more people should be like Cole doesn't make that change. How do you actually make the change? How do you make people adopt that?
I think we keep having conversations. I think we continue sharing intelligence amongst ourselves and not putting such an emphasis on sports. You know, Cole, you can make fun of me about Cole is not a sports guy and Cole doesn't value sports the same way, but especially out of the three of us, that has not always been the case. I was much more of a sports person here several years ago than either of you were. And B, I think that you were today more involved in various aspects of sports than any of the rest of us are. Either of us are. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but I think that you do a really good job of balancing it. Look, I'm going to have some camaraderie playing what's that called? Fantasy
Fantasy.
football
Fantasy.
with my buddies and with my friends or whatever, even though I'm not totally in that world. Why are you laughing at me?
My motivation, I'm not playing fantasy this season, but my motivation for playing fantasy is I do not care about football. I want to show you football nerds that I'm better at this than you.
So when did you make that change?
What do you mean?
When did you stop playing fantasy?
I mean, 3 seasons
He would
ago was
still
the
do it.
first time I played it. I played it for 2 seasons. It came
That's
in
all?
second
Really?
in my league both times.
Because you're
No,
smart.
that's not true. Excuse me. I played it for 3 seasons, got second, first, and then second again. So in the last 4 years, I've played it for 3 seasons. And literally the only reason I agreed was to say, this is just
Suck it, nerds.
statistics. This is just math. Take the emotion, take the love of the player, the idolization of the player out and say, statistically speaking, what is going to make me most likely to win?
And I
Take
think that
that.
that's the whole point. That is fantastic. You were taking and balancing the brawn with the brains. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's really cool. I get that you're not doing it this season. Okay, fine. But how do we make people more like Cole? That's
what I'm
how.
asking. But they don't. People aren't like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
that I'm not sure I can take a whole society like Cole.
so true.
It would-
Sorry,
it
but
it would be really scary to have a bunch of me running around. Trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you can't talk an apple into being an orange.
No, but you know what? There's some science behind that might could create that. It would be interesting to, and maybe, maybe that's part of it. It just doesn't have the appeal. No pun intended.
I was going to say,
But
but you can graft the shit out of some trees and teach them to change.
so I read this article recently about a 14-year-old who his mom is working because of some NIL changes. His mom is working for him to be a millionaire by the time he is a freshman. And he is getting enough attention and request that it looks very likely. And so we were talking about how a young 14-year-old even deserves to be, to get this kind of money back behind them based on their athletic prowess. And it was really interesting because this kid didn't even want to play football.
What if that same kid developed a cure for cancer? Does he deserve to get paid?
Yes, but he won't. He'll get paid because he's an athlete. He won't get paid because he's a scientist.
So if he's an athlete, he doesn't deserve to get paid for the effort that he's putting in. But if he was a scientist and developed a cure for cancer, he does deserve to get paid, but he won't.
So what is he bringing to society? What is his contribution that he is getting paid for?
What is Tom Brady's?
The profit.
Entertainment value.
It's the profit.
What do you mean it's the profit?
It's like Cole said earlier, it's their share of the profit. If he can bring to the sport, something for people to watch, something for people to pay for, it's his share of the profit.
I mean, look at Texas. How do Texas schools, particularly high schools, source a ton of their funding through their athletics
Oh my
programs.
gosh. That was another one where these billionaires are taking over the football programs and they're
Collegiate.
buying. Yes. And they're buying athletes to make the best deal. But it almost sounded like it was just, hey, I'm a billionaire and this is my alma mater and I'm going to make it better than that billionaire's alma mater. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of money into this.
They're billionaires
That is
playing
what sports
chess
is.
games against each other.
This guy said they've ruined the sport because of the way that they're throwing money at the competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who's the better team anymore. It's who can build the better team. And so
It's
I don't know, but
resources.
maybe.
Well, yeah, which is a problem that has already been broached by the major leagues for all of these sports with salary caps.
Yeah.
To say, okay, you can't just buy the whole league and buy all of the best players. You have to have something in place to make it fair.
Do you think that those salary caps are realistic?
What do you mean?
I feel like salary caps, A, are a good thing, and B, are too high. Like we talked about term limits the other day. This is the same kind of mental gymnastics that I had to do for that. We can't put a term limit on somebody in Congress and say, hey, you can be here for 50 years. Sounds good. That isn't realistic, right? That doesn't make sense. So we're going to do the same thing here in athletics and say, hey, we're going to put a salary cap on this so that you can't spend more than $50 quadrillion. And then but up until then, it's all okay. Like, that doesn't make sense. We have to be more realistic with those salary caps.
The level of the salary cap
limits
is irrelevant to the argument that I'm trying to make. Okay. If every team has the same salary cap, that means that Team A, in the long run, should not be able to outspend Team B to have a better team. Now, because it's cyclical and you've got people coming in and out of the system all of the time, year to year, those salary cap imbalances happen. And you have teams that are better than others. You got to have a winner. But in the long run, what that salary cap is irrelevant to the argument of, do salary caps have an impact?
I'm not debating on whether or not they have an impact. I do, but I think that they have to have a reasonable cap in order for that impact to matter, to make a difference.
And what should that cap be tied to?
Yeah. How do you decide what's reasonable?
Because I can tell you what it is tied to. Revenue.
Yeah. When you're already paying 14-year-olds $1 million or 16-year-old $1 million, what do you tie that to?
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think I also agree that we prioritize sports more than we should, that athletes probably get paid more than they should. I also think that athletes should get paid because they work really hard.
And I don't think any of us are disputing that they should get paid. The argument here is that we are glorifying these athletes. We are paying them out the wazoo. And is that the right place to put your money?
Right.
Because
is cigarettes or
that
alcohol?
What?
Is cigarettes or alcohol? No, but that's what we spend it on. I'm really not trying to be nihilistic here, but I mean,
are you not? I'm not sure I can follow you there.
What I think should be and what is wildly different.
Agreed. But I think that that's the purpose, at least for me in my brain, of having conversations like this. You're not wrong in that what should be and what is are totally different things. I think, again, my perspective, my intention with having conversations like this are to encourage a different approach. Do I think that the whoever is the commissioner of the NFL is going to come and listen to our podcast and be like, oh, Callie wants the world to be different, so I'm going to change everything? Yeah. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. But I do think that my intention is to spark some thought provocation. Thought provocation. Thank you. My point is to spark some thought provocation that gets a little bit of those wheels turning amongst us
traction.
that we can eventually, and I don't think that traction is going to start immediately, but I certainly hope that it does start a conversation. We had a conversation, the three of us had a conversation about social media and, hey, we're spending too much time on it. And hey, are we addicted? And Cole, you and I both confessed the next week, every single time we got on social media, we thought, oh God, should I be on this right now? Oh God, am I on this again? That's all that my purpose of this conversation is. Oh God, are we really sitting here prioritizing football again? The process of all of these athletes getting CTE and being blobs for the rest of their life so that I can be entertained for the next couple of hours? Is that really where I want to put my value?
No, but again, in this, I believe you and I are outliers. And I think that statistically it is improbable to turn the average into the outlier. Is it impossible? No, but I think it's unlikely.
Well, I am more than happy to be on the leading edge of this and having these conversations so that we are not all falling victim to the bleeding edge of sports as society's priority.
So let's go back. Do you think student athletes deserve to get paid?
No,
Why?
because this is the path that they chose. If they want to turn and make a career out of it, that's great as soon as they do.
So
I think
if
that
a student goes outside and they are not an athlete and they get a job, should they get paid for that job?
yes,
Then why shouldn't an athlete? Because the athlete is doing a job. They're working for the school that they're playing for.
that's a class. That's
But
a class
it's more
to
than a class.
better them. But it really isn't. It's a class to better them and better their opportunity to have a career in this post-college.
A class in and of itself does not generate revenue. The product of that class, there isn't a product of the class that you sell.
He's right.
If I am a doctorate candidate, a collegiate doctorate candidate, and I, for my thesis or whatever, come up with a product, and that product is now marketed by the school, should I get a cut of that revenue? Because I developed the product. I put in all of the effort and all of the work, and I developed it, and now it is generating revenue. Should I get a piece of that revenue?
So I know that you want me to say yes on your scenario, that if I am a scientist for a school, work in a class, going to school for a specialty, and I create something, that then I, as the person who invented that, should get a cut of that.
I mean, to me personally, I think you should
Take a
get
second.
all of it. So, but here, in reality, if someone is in a research program in a college and that results in a product, who owns the product? Is it the
I don't know.
the student who developed it, or the school?
It depends.
Generally, it is the person who developed it, or both.
So what you're saying, you're relating this, that if I'm the athlete and I create revenue for the school, then I should get
Yes.
a piece of the revenue.
If I am the product, I need to get some of the revenue generated by the product.
So why are we not paying middle school athletes?
We are.
We are. Well,
We haven't been previously.
we're
But we are
allowing
now.
them to be paid. We're allowing them to be paid by other means, endorsements. Okay, gosh. I mean, that's such a hard one, because if you say, okay, you're the football player and you're contributing to the team success, which is contributing to the donations that the college is receiving, so you should receive some benefit from that, financial benefit from that. And so if you happen to be at Alabama, or you chose to go to Alabama because Alabama is always in the top, and so those proceeds are going to be better, so you're going to get more for that.
That's what scholarships used to be. hey, I'm really good. I'm going to bring this to the table. So you're going to let me come to your school for free so that I can provide this value that we both benefit from. You in all of our deals, in all of our TV deals, and all of our other school deals, and me in advancing my future career.
How is it different? They're getting paid. They're getting some sort of benefit for doing their job. How is it different?
But if you turn that around and you say that's the STEM student who's advancing some type of scientific research and they're getting a profit. But I think the thing is that the football player and the college, because of the way that society looks at football, that bucket is just going to include more money than that stem cell student is for the college. And so it just still seems cold that it's out of whack that we're willing to
I don't disagree.
pay.
I think the prioritization is completely
Yeah.
wrong. But just because as a society we have the wrong thing being prioritized, does that mean we go and punish the people who are working their asses off to provide a product?
But I think that we're addressing it really poorly because I think that we're raising a generation of people to seek out being noticed rather than to be capable.
Yeah, you go back to the
Right, but as an
14-year-old
athlete, you have to be capable to get noticed.
yeah,
But there are other options besides athletes.
but you go
I
back to the
don't disagree with
14-year-old who
you.
doesn't want to play football, who is playing football for the money.
Because his mom wants the money.
And we're arguing about two different things.
I don't think I want to say I don't think that they shouldn't be paid, but then again, I don't want to say that out loud. Maybe the answer is I don't want them to get paid a ridiculous amount of money. Because I guess it comes down to, is their short-term athleticism, because it's going to be short-term. It's not a long-term solution. So is their short-term athleticism worth more than my long-term career?
To our society, yes.
Yeah.
Is that the way it should be? No.
Is there a way to change that?
You have to make society prioritize it less. You have to make us spend less money watching sports, buying sports memorabilia.
I just don't know that that's ever going to happen. And for lots of different reasons, for the sex of it, for the camaraderie of it. I don't know that that's ever going to happen.
Again, I think going back to kind of the long-term pain versus gain, the cost of valuing athletics over brains, I think is dangerous long-term.
I totally agree. Go tell a group of lemmings not to run off the cliff.
That's what the stopper lemming is for. And it only takes one.
Y'all are showing your age now. So where do we go from here? I mean, is there a way to bump intelligence up?
I think Callie's right. I think you have to find a way to market it. I don't know how to make physics sexy. I think it's a whole lot easier to market football than it is cancer research.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I mean, that's the only feasible way to change that prioritization is to market it different.
I just feel like, Cole, do you remember that movie, Idiocracy? I feel like that's where we're headed.
100%. I completely agree.
And I feel like if we don't do something about it, we're going to be
This
sitting
is
here
nihilistic.
prioritizing.
I am concerned that we cannot avoid it.
You're
because
real
I see us
depressing.
creeping closer to it tough. I don't know what to tell you. I am not a blow sunshine and rainbows kind of guy.
This is true.
I agree with what you're saying. I just don't know how to achieve it.
Well, and I think that that's the part that I get frustrated with. I understand that you don't know how to achieve it, but I feel like you're kind of making the case as to why we just can't do anything about it. So just throw your hands up and call it a day.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
But it does look exhausting, and it does look, futile. It does feel that way. So I understand some of that stance.
But
And I'm
again,
sitting
we
here
have to
looking at
start
the two of
somewhere.
you and Cole going, yeah, that ain't nothing that can be done. And you as the optimist going, there has to be something that can be done. And so
Here's what I see. I see you over here banging your head against the wall saying, come on, Cole, if you bang your head with me, we'll get through this.
See, I feel the opposite. I see you burying every part of your body into the sand and saying, well, nothing left for me to do. I'm already dead. And you saying, hey, come bury yourself too. There's nothing we can do. So might as well just give up. And and maybe you're right, Mom. Maybe that is my optimism and maybe it is futile, but I sure hope it isn't.
I don't think it's completely futile. And I think having these conversations, can move us in some of those directions. But here's the crux of this. It isn't sexy. It isn't Brawn that will get us there. And so you're the David against the Goliath. Can David win? Yes, sometimes.
I was just going to say, he
Sometimes
kind
he
of
gets
did.
crushed.
Yeah.
So, it's
But if no David ever steps up to compete against Goliath, there's no
yeah.
chance of winning. That's why I would prefer to be on the leading, even the bleeding edge of this. Like, I want to find a different way. I want to figure out a better solution and a better system. I want to prioritize the long-term gains versus the short-term entertainment. And if that makes me weird, if that makes me isolated in that, okay, I'll take that. But one of these days, just like I feel like you see in art, one of these days, even after I'm gone, somebody's going to turn back and be like, oh man, I wish we'd have gotten on board with what Callie was thinking. I wish we'd have done something about it then while they're sitting there lapping up Gatorade out of,
Brondo. Brondo, it's got the electrolytes that plants crave.
yeah, out of sprinklers.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
okay. Where do we want to go from here?
I think that we have to recognize that our society has valued consumption, whether that's entertainment or even physical bodies. We've allowed that to overtake capabilities.
I think you're preaching to the choir, though. So,
Well, there's
yeah,
just nothing we can do. Call it a day. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye. Excellent episode this week. Like, what the heck, y'all? We gotta, like, we can't just sit here from this nihilistic point of view saying, oh, nothing we can do. Sucks to suck. Bye.
Sure we can. Why not?
I can't.
Cole could.
That's
I couldn't.
fine.
Yeah.
I can't.
So,
I don't want to choose dopamine addiction over development.
So sell it to us. Figure out how to market intelligence.
I am. It's called Two Millennials and Mom, the podcast, where we show up every week and have deep and not so deep conversations that are hard and shitty and hard and sucky and confusing and frustrating, but thought-provoking and interesting. And I mean, all three of us have sat here at some point over the course of over the year that we've been doing this podcast saying, this is hard.
it's hard.
This is painful. I didn't know that. I had to go spend time learning about that. We are. I am. You are. Whether you agree or not, like, we are. That's what I'm doing about it, Cole. Is it fixing everything today? Nope. Is everything going to be better tomorrow because of what we're doing today? Nope. Is it better than just sitting back, throwing my hands up, going, well, there's nothing to be done here. Nice knowing you. Yeah, I think it is.
And that's great. For you.
What does that mean for you?
I'm going to spend my time and effort somewhere else. And that's okay. We have different priorities.
I just worry about the long term. If we stop prioritizing intelligence and maintain the prioritization of performers, I think that that's choosing the short-term gain, the instant gratification over the long-term productivity.
I agree. But it's what we've done for forever, and we've made it this far.
And
I,
look where we freaking are. This sucks.
I started to say, I think until it gets,
I
it's
mean,
kind of like until you hit the bottom. And
Guys, what does
is
the
it as
rock
bad as
bottom
living
look
through the
like?
plague? Is it as bad as being a slave building the pyramids?
We did live through the plague. It was called COVID.
You're missing my point.
I think we have some responsibility ourselves to do that. I think that maybe we start addressing who our heroes really look like and being verbal about that and recognizing them and not being thoughtless
Yeah,
about who we admire.
yeah. And being vocal about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, again, Cole, I think that you do a really good job at this. Hey, guys, go listen to this really, really interesting, fascinating, thought-provoking conversation that was had by so-and-so.
You sent me two this week, one of which I just am still reeling from how much I enjoyed, and one that I swear, Callie, when you talked about it making you feel like a moron and I got on to you about it, then I sat down and listened to it and
Felt like a moron?
I was like, okay, I don't know that I'm smart enough to listen to this one.
Uh-huh. But I couldn't not because it
Uh,
was so fascinating and I felt like it stretched me in my brain. And I think, again, Cole, I think that you do such a
I
good
think
job
that's
of
another
that.
problem with this is that we're scared of feeling stupid. So as a
Oh.
species, if something makes us feel stupid, instead of saying, let me continue to dive into this until I don't feel stupid, I just say, I'm too stupid for this and move on. I'm going to go
And
watch
that was my
football.
argument to Mom. I feel like a moron and I'm going to keep going. I am going to continue digging into this. It's okay for me to feel like a moron. And I did. I absolutely did. I still do in specific aspects of that topic, in that it was a conversation about the purpose of life from all of these different perspectives, whether you're theologically driven and motivated or an atheist or a psychiatrist, like all of these different perspectives of people saying, hey, this is or isn't the purpose of life. And so I did, in many ways, I felt like a moron. But instead of saying, oh, well, this is too hard to learn, never mind, I buckled up and dug in and said, oh, let's keep talking about this. Let me feel like a moron. That's okay. And let me go learn.
yeah.
And so I think
How
that
do you sell that perspective? How do you make everyone else feel like that? Think that way.
by not having conversations like you saying, oh, well, totally fruitless, never mind. But I think that it's encouraging those conversations. And that's why I'm trying to come back to you saying, look, Cole, you're already doing this. Don't shit
Yeah.
on it now.
But here, I can do it all day long. How do I make other people do it? Because
You
I've been doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you want mass appeal and
immediately.
it may not be mass appeal. It may be one person at a time
Yeah.
or two.
And I think that that was the whole conversation that they were talking about, the purpose of life. You don't have to have this big, huge legacy that is so visible and everybody by textbook definition can look at you and say, oh, she had a productive life. You changed one person's life. You made an impact on one person and that was enough. The value of contentment, the value of any kind of purpose, whether it translates to anybody else, is irrelevant. It meant something to you and that's enough. And so my point is trying to be encouraging to you in this moment, Cole. You are doing that. You are sharing wisdom and knowledge and insight, even if it's stuff that you and I may not agree on. We're doing it. We're not sharing the latest and greatest hit in football saying, oh, look at his arm go the wrong way. How exciting was that fourth quarter? We're
It was
valuing
boring.
intelligence. We're valuing provocation of intellect.
Okay, this is the mom and me. I think you're both on the right track. I think the more that Cole shares that, and Callie, the more that you market that, then we're making a step forward.
Yeah. And I think that it goes back to that same concept that we keep talking about on this podcast. It takes a village. Cole, you might not be the marketer, and that's okay. But you are the wisdom. You are the one who shared it in the first place. And then I start proliferating that narrative that you shared with me.
Yeah.
And I think that there's value in that. And I think that that's the opportunity that we can say, hey, we're taking something and changing the status quo, even if it's on a teeny tiny scale of the three of us, and proliferating that narrative over, I think it counts. And I'm sorry that it's not all wrapped up in a beautiful bow that says, Cole won the Nobel Peace Prize. But you do for me in my world. Maybe not peace, but.
And that's great. You market it.
I am every freaking week.
You be Jesus.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Exactly.
So let's take a little twist. I think we've beat this horse. Let's take a little twist and think about what the world would be like if it were different. What if academics was the moneymaker?
So if Jeopardy got 3 hours every Sunday instead of the
Football.
NFL, I mean, I'm down. That sounds great.
I mean, but it leads you to a question of what could we accomplish if we had a more significant focus on academics?
Yeah, and in high school, I participated in an academic decathlon, which is a series of 10 different academic events that you put a team together, all UIL regulated, I guess, and some of the most fun I ever had. I mean, it was fantastic, and it was great for me. And if we could get the same kind of attention to events like that as you can for football, I think that would be fantastic.
Because I was just sitting here thinking, I don't think I ever went to any of your competitions in that.
I only went to like one, but we met every week
But
to practice.
my point is, as a mom, maybe I do remember going to watch you play football, but I don't remember going to watch you compete with your brain. And
because it was on a Tuesday during the day and you had to go to work. Whereas if I played football, it was on a Friday night.
If it was reversed
and we valued the brain part of it and put that on Friday night instead of the brawn,
yeah,
would it get more buy-in?
It would be so interesting to see what
we'd have a bunch of debaters instead of a bunch of meatheads.
Don't be mean.
I'm not being mean. Meathead is not a derogatory term.
Oh, no?
I'm pretty sure
Please use it in a positive sentence. I would love to hear it.
I can tell you Archie Bunker did not mean it in a positive sense when that's what he called his son-in-law.
Stifle.
It would just be very interesting. I mean, it would even be funny to see trash talk between academics. Can you imagine what that would sound like
it's
or
called
what
Twitter.
That would look like? Maybe that's true.
Sorry, X.
Twitter on a great day. There's a lot of drama.
What if you had...
Yeah, there's a bunch of nonsense there, too.
Sure. What if you had what is it with the football when they're the NFL and they're calling these college guys up and it's all over the media and they're
combine.
It's that whole night. What if we had an AP chemistry? What did he say?
Combine.
What if we had an AP chemistry combine?
They do. It's called college.
Isn't he a peach?
I'm done with you. I'm done with you today. I want a good news story.
Okay. So totally changing gears. And by the time that this episode actually comes out, it will be the day after Thanksgiving. And so this is a reminder that sometimes the wrong number can bring the right people into our lives. Back in, and Mom, I know that you'll remember this, and I think about them every single year. Back in 2016 in Arizona, a grandmother, Wanda, sent a Thanksgiving invitation to what she thought was her grandson. It was not. Instead, it arrived on the phone of Jamal Hinton, who was a teenager that she had never met. Most people would have deleted the text and moved on, but Jamal joked with her. Jamal, a black teenager, and Wanda, a white grandmother. Jamal joked, "Can I still get a plate, though?" And Wanda, being the kind of grandmother that everybody wishes they had, replied, "Of course you can. That's what grandmas do. They feed everybody." So that November in 2016, Jamal showed up at Wanda's house, and Wanda welcomed him with open arms. That moment of kindness, that one single text message that turned into a Thanksgiving with a stranger, turned into something more meaningful for both of them. So this year, 2025, marked their 10th Thanksgiving together. A full decade of sharing meals, supporting each other through highs and heartbreak, including the loss of Wanda's husband, who was there for the first couple of Thanksgivings with Jamal, and they got to know each other and her battle with cancer. Jamal has gotten married and worked through college, and they have turned into this sweet little family, all because of a mistaken text message 10 years ago. So what started as a mistake became a tradition for them and their families. He has welcomed his now wife into his new family, his adopted family, because of this mistake. And so what started as strangers became a bond that neither of them expected, but both of them values and didn't realize that they need. And a reminder that chosen family can come from the most unexpected places, even a wrong number that changes your world. And I think that it's just so exciting and fun because, like I said, I remember this story ages ago and the picture that he sent of him, the selfie that he sent, he's like, "I don't think that this is who you meant for this to go to, lady." And she was like, "Okay, come on anyway." And think about them every year.
I admire them both so much because the story could have gone so totally different. But the fact that he thought it was funny and the fact that she said, "Come on,
Yep.
that's what I do. Come on." And that he was brave enough to do that. And Cole, that's the story that we have to apply to the rest of it. Something out of hand can change it. It doesn't have to be that we can't do anything, that we can't create our own bonds or create something new and wonderful. There's an opportunity there, and we just have to be the ones brave enough to say, "Come on, I'll feed you. It doesn't matter what you look like or who you are. Come on, I'll feed you." And
You can be part of
him
that
saying,
family.
"I'm going to go."
So now I saw an interview with the two of them. Thanksgiving month, November is their busiest because you've got all of these news outlets and researchers and or writers reaching out to them saying, "Hey, are you doing it again this year? Are you doing it?" And they talk about how November is their busiest month where they get to spend as little time talking as they do in any other month of the year because they have become this family. And they don't get to talk about their regular lives and what's going on with them because they're so busy being interviewed by all of these different outlets and media people that are invested in their story. And so the rest of the months of the year are the ones that matter and mean the most to them because it's where they actually show up for each other. Like I said, through cancer, through loss, through celebration, because they've chosen to be family. I just think it's super cool. I can't believe it was 10 years ago, but
I'm shocked that it's been 10 years. But I championed them.
yes.
Two little moments in time that changed history.
Text
Pretty cool
messages.
story.
Yeah. I mean,
Good
talk
story.
about a purpose that wasn't really on the table for either of them that they made and invented and fostered. I love it.
So, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Invite a
Thanksgiving.
stranger. Love you guys.
Love
Me
y'all.
too.